Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to the stream today. We've got so many things to teach today. Ugh, let me just get my microphone. It's stuck under here. There we go. It's a little better. How's everyone doing? Where's everyone watching from? I saw some people in the chat already saying where they're watching from. Someone from Greece, Seoul, Bulgaria, Puerto Rico, Slovenia, UK, Brooklyn, Cuba, Florida, New York. Cool. I know some of those places. Welcome. Let's see. Cosmo was our first person to come in and say hi. Sunny Southpaw. How's it going? See who else I recognize. Flo. How's it going, Flo? Who else do I recognize here? Keith, of course. Keith. Claire. And who else do I recognize? I'm trying to go for the ones who I see here a lot. So don't feel bad if I don't read your name and you do come here a lot. I'm trying to learn everyone's name, but it's kind of hard. You know, like teachers try to learn all their students' names on the first day of school. And it's hard when I have over 700,000 students, but I'm doing my best. Okay. Lori. And Small. Okay, that's the list of the ones I've like really memorized. But if I didn't say your name, but you've been here a lot, let me know, and I'll try to memorize your name. Welcome, welcome. We've got a very packed lesson for today. So I know it says beginner in the title, but if you are high beginner or low intermediate, you probably don't know the stuff we're going to be teaching today. If you are somewhere in the high intermediate level, you definitely already know all this stuff. But I mean, I don't know, maybe you don't. It's I think this is fundamental stuff, but it's kind of like it's not fundamental in the sense that all the books teach it, but it's fundamental in the sense that you're using this stuff all the time, whether you know about it or not. So today's lesson, we're going to be going over, it's not just Heio versus Hanengoyo, which is what the title is, but it's more fundamental than that. It's something that's going to help you with all of the tenses in Korean. So once you finish today's lesson, which will start at the top of the hour, we're not starting right now, but it's actually like almost 2 pages. Well, 1.5. And the stuff we're learning today is going to apply to all 3 tenses in Korean, not just the one tense you might know of. So yeah, it's a pretty big lesson. I've got a lot of stuff to teach today, which is fun for the class and bad for when I have to go back and edit this video later. It's going to take me a long time, but that's okay. I can do it for you guys. Who else is here? Another person from, let's see, I missed a few. Okay. Russia, Pennsylvania, England, Saudi Arabia, Cuba. You've got the troublemakers memorized, yes. All the ones that can't keep quiet during class. Those are the ones I keep my eye on. Move you to the back. Cosmo's talked about the Billy Gaming videos. Yeah, I have a second channel. I don't use it, but I have one for when I would play some Korean games. And I would go through the games really slowly, and we'd translate every single sentence in the videos. And that's fun. I like doing that. The issue is that I haven't had much free time for things besides this channel in a long time. And especially the past year or so, I've just been way too busy with stuff for this channel. It started with the current course you guys are watching. Oh, some of you are watching for sentence connectors. That course I had been working on like 24 hours, like every single day, every day of the week without any breaks. I was working on that from like February until May, or January until May, because it was a book and a course. And that took all the time there. After that, I had some free time, but that was spent at the end of May preparing to go to Korea. Then I went to Korea, so I wasn't going to be doing gaming streaming while I was in Korea. Came back from Korea. Should have some free time. I'm just editing the videos I filmed in Korea. However, I'm going to be doing a podcast. Hopefully I can start that. My goal is to have an episode filmed before Thanksgiving. We'll see how it goes. But because of that, now I'm even busier than I was before. So I haven't had any time to play games. Who else is here? Germany, Argentina, Libya. Billy RPG game. No, it was not an RPG game. It was just me playing games. Yeah, hopefully the sentence connector course, what I hope it'll be used for is as a reference. So if you are ever confused about a grammar form, you can search my channel. You'll be able to find it easily since I put it in the description of the video and in the tags for all the forms that are covered. So it's supposed to be used more like a reference. You could use it like a course. I mean, if you want to just watch the whole thing in order and take notes on everything, but it's a bit overwhelming for that. I think it would be better as you watch the course and you just take notes on the stuff that matches up with your current level and skip through the rest. And then that way, even though the lessons are quite long, some of them are, 30 minutes long or longer, your actual time spent on each lesson is going to be something like 5 minutes, depending on your level. So that's kind of what I want the course to be used. It's just kind of a general reference for like everything. It's like pretty much everything that has to do with connecting sentences. Yeah, Flo, thank you. The podcast, yeah, I really want to share what I've been working on, but I'm not yet because I'm gonna wait until I have some stuff of the actual set built. I've been preparing lots of the props. So lots of the things that you will see in the podcast, like the television, some other, I don't want to say too much. A lot of the other stuff is already prepared. And I managed to spend already $2,200, $2,300. Yeah, about $2,200 I've already spent on things for the set, which is great. That means like most of the stuff that I need for the set, except for the set itself, except for the set walls, which I haven't done that yet, is already purchased. And now I'm just going through the process of figuring out exactly how big it needs to be. I haven't finished that yet. If anyone has experience with like filming set construction, podcast set construction, please reach out to me. You can email me or just ping me on Discord or wherever you can find me. I would appreciate some advice for that, but I'll figure it out myself, probably. But if you have any advice, I'd also appreciate it. It might help me. Yeah, so we're doing lots of stuff for that. And I will be making a post on Patreon for members about the construction of how that's going. But I haven't wanted to share anything yet because I want to have a lot of stuff that I can share when I finally make the first post about how it's going. But yeah, it is going, and your money is. I wouldn't just say well spent. I would say spent. It is, but it's okay because I made the fundraiser. Originally, I asked for $2,500, and like less than 3 days, it was fully funded. Like less than 3 days. The first day was like half of it was funded. The first day when I woke up in the morning after posting it the evening before, it was already halfway, which is great. But even the generous estimate I made for myself, allowing extra just in case. What if this? What if this? Even that was not enough. And yeah, it's gonna be close to. Yeah, probably everything that I raised will go into it, but that's okay. That's okay. Lexica. Hey, Lexica. Thank you for the $5 donation. And Lexica says, so happy the podcast is happening. Me too. I just don't want to think about all the little things I have to do to make it happen. There's still so many things left. A lot of people don't realize, and I didn't realize, but there are lots of things that can go into making a podcast. Now, obviously, I could just slap a microphone on my desktop, turn on my webcam, and boom, now I have a podcast. I've spent $0 and zero time to do it. That's the thing. I could do that. But the way I'm trying to do it requires a lot of stuff. And it's not just the set. The set is the biggest expense, but that's not the most important part. The most important part is going to be the actual podcast. But there are little things I'm adding into it. I'm working on some music for it. See, what else can I share that I'm doing for it? There's little details with lights. There's gonna be details with some functioning objects in the. If you've seen the set design, that is not the actual like blueprint. It's just kind of a general design for just to kind of help guide me to know what props to buy and where to put them. And that's I've already mostly completed getting all that stuff. But there are some parts of the set that are going to be functional, which you'll see when the podcast comes out. So it should be a dual podcast and show. So if you're watching it, you get a show. And if you are listening to it, well, you get a podcast. And it'll be completely a podcast at its heart first. And then a video second, which will give you like subtitles and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going along. Let's see what other comments. I don't want to miss these comments. Oh yeah, that's Flo's message. Just reading it again. Small says, one day we'll get the gaming streams back. I think so. I like doing that. It's just, I haven't had any time. So yeah, if I look at my schedule right now, there are no free days at all. Like weekends, a couple weekends I have chiseled out because they're for like holiday or like a birthday or something like that. But besides that, it's 7 days a week. But I mean, it kind of has to, or else I wouldn't be able to get a podcast made by myself and just one person doing it. Well, and my wife who I drag with me when we go to the hardware store. I've been to the local hardware store now. I think I went I went more than that. I'll just say about 6 times to the local hardware store and then another 4 times to, if anyone's heard of Harbor Freight, it's like the dollar store version of the hardware store. I've been there also to get some stuff, get some cheap tools there. A lot of stuff's been going on. And there's some stuff I want to show you so bad right now. Like I built some stuff already. I'm pretty proud of it, but I just can't show it. I'm going to wait, share that on a Patreon post. That way I can make a post that's actually kind of interesting instead of like a million little posts like, oh, I bought the plant. Oh, I built this thing. Like we'll get a kind of fun post when that comes up. Keith says, I wish I could help, but build and design is outside my wheelhouse. That's too bad. But it's okay. Most people don't have experience creating podcast sets, so I'll give them a pass. No donations goal today? No donations goal today. If you want to know about the podcast, you can ask. I didn't want to do it. I was saving it for last week because it was still within the fundraising. But now that I'm not making any more fundraiser posts, so I'm not begging for your money anymore for the podcast. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. I just won't be sharing images or stuff or videos of it yet. When does a podcast come out? It should come out if everything goes well and I'm not being too ambitious in the release date. I'm expecting that, let's see, I want to be able to finish building the set walls by the end of September. So this from tomorrow, the next month. So within a month, I want to have the set walls mostly built and finished. Then the entire set finished, like wallpaper, everything, props, all done sometime in October. Then November, hopefully, where I'll still have to make sure I finalize music effects. I've got some set extension things I got to make. Setting up there's a part of the set I have to set up. I'm going to have to do a bunch of practice with that to get it working. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff I got to do, branding with it, make sure I finalize my logo. Hopefully I can be filming the first episode sometime before Thanksgiving, which would be around when I would release it. It should have a fast release schedule once everything's set up. I'm hoping like 3 days from filming to release once it's all ready. And then once it also is ready, I'm going to have it posted first on Patreon. So that's what I'm going to start doing is the episode will be first posted on Patreon. And then after that, posted to YouTube, maybe like the next day or something, or a couple days later. That way, just to kind of say thanks to people who are supporting me, supporting the podcast like that. I'm also trying to practice preparing for my my topics. I've got some topics picked out that should be fun. It's fun making plans for how I want to structure it. Like what sort of guests do I want to get on? What sorts of segments do I want in the podcast show? Yeah, just give me a little bit of time. I found you through Crystal Vlogs YouTube channel. Kumiho, is that maybe I've heard of the name before. What did they say about me? Did they just say my name? I don't know. I'm not sure if I know them or maybe I do. I have a question. I'm on episode 15 of your beginner course, and I'd like to know how I can work more on my understanding of Korean language. Understanding. Okay, Blue Moon, if you're on lesson 15, so that's very early on, I wouldn't start stressing about it, but to get a head start on understanding, to get better at listening comprehension, I would do something like the basic podcasts. I have a video I made where I recommend 15 other YouTube channels that make Korean learning podcasts already, which are just all spoken in Korean, where they talk about some Korean topic. I would recommend those because for the lower levels of the beginner level, you're not really able to use much of the rest of the beginner stuff yet. You don't have all the grammar forms you need yet. So I wouldn't bother trying to do like shows or variety shows or anything like that yet. But they have beginner level podcasts, like podcasts that are actually made for brand new beginners in that list. So it's not going to be the most natural sentences, but it's going to be grammatically correct and correct pronunciation. So I would check out that, search my channel for the word podcast. I don't have a podcast yet, so you're not going to find any of mine. You're only going to find that video I made where I recommend it. I would start there. Hello from Seoul. I saw a yellow floor yesterday. Kat, about the yellow floor. So I'm not going to be going with a bright yellow floor, though I already knew that, but I was deciding the exact shade of yellow and the material for yellow. It could be a long story if I want to talk about it, but the really short version is I'm not going to make my floor of the podcast bright yellow because one, it's ugly, but that's not the issue. Two is that it'll make me look ugly because yellow surfaces mean yellow light gets reflected onto the set. So we're going to kind of cheat it. We're going to do like yellowish floor for the podcast floor. So it'll still be a Korean, like an actual color that's and material that's in Korea, but it's not going to be like bright yellow like you might see in some houses. Some old apartments might have like a bright yellow. But Korean houses in the 80s had a variety of materials for floors. This is something I just learned about actually like last week. They weren't all the same material, but they would have, some of them would be like kind of like wooden floors. Others would be like a white kind of linoleum type of floor or like a yellowish type of linoleum floor. So I'm thinking of going with that, like a yellowish type of like vinyl flooring, like a sheet of vinyl. So we'll see. Yeah, everything's getting finalized, and while I'm figuring out all the actual details, some of the little pieces are getting upgraded or changed. So some stuff I planned to get, like, oh, I wanted to put a clock on the wall. So I was searching clocks and realized, you know what? Clocks in the 80s were different, the designs. So the clock I was thinking in my head wasn't an 80s clock. So I actually found a better one in the process. Cosma says, when I'm playing games with Koreans, despite them being older than me, could I say stuff like joshim joshim, or it sounds weird to keep changing politeness levels? So that'll depend on the game. In general, on the internet, people tend to default to panmal when you're talking with a stranger. Like if it's confirmed that you don't know who this person is and they're just a random person on the internet, it's not so weird to use casual speech to them nowadays, with the understanding that I'm only using casual speech because I'm assuming that you're a kid, or like you were both kids sort of thing. But if you actually know the person and once you've established a relationship with them, you wouldn't use casual speech. You would be polite with them. So that's the only advice I can give you, is follow what other people are doing. If you join a game and you see other people that don't know each other using casual speech to each other, it's probably okay. But if you were to then, hang out and personally chat online with one of those people, you wouldn't do that. You would figure out how old each other are and speak appropriately. M. Pelzer says, maybe you answered this question, but will your podcast also be divided into beginner, intermediate, and advanced level? No, they're going to not be for a specific level. So I would say the podcasts are going to be targeted at just Korean learners in general. So there are going to be parts that are just in English. Like the parts where we discuss a topic are just going to be in English. So any level is fine for that. The grammar explanations will have grammar forms with examples that may be at any level, like beginner, intermediate, advanced, depending on what the form is. The interviews conducted with guests are going to be kind of I'm thinking so far, still kind of deciding these things. They're going to be mixture of Korean and English, depending on the guest. If it's a guest that speaks English, we might do mostly English and some Korean. If it's a guest that doesn't speak much English, it could be all in Korean with just adding in a little bit of English here and there to kind of help the listener follow along. But it's not targeted at a specific level. It'll just be for kind of anyone interested in learning Korean. And there will be a couple segments in there that are for every level, that are kind of just more interesting Korean tidbits. And I have some topic ideas for that as well. But I can't really say it's for any specific level. It's going to be fine for pretty much any level beyond like the absolute beginner. Like if you're brand new beginner, you're probably not going to want to listen to the podcast because you wouldn't understand anything we're talking about. But beyond the very, very basics, I think it's going to be fine for anyone. 외국인 사람. You can just say 외국 사람 or 외국인, since 외국인 by itself, the in means person. So you could say 외국 사람 or 외국인, and it has the same meaning. Billy, what does ida become in this ningoyo form? I think I've never seen it. Yes, you're correct. 인고요. The latest episode of Korean Connectors in order to... Oh, it was gigantic. I apologize for that, but hopefully, depending on your level, it wasn't too much. I know when I was preparing for the course, it was every day I'd wake up and like while I'm taking a shower, I'd think, oh, I need to add this form. I need to add this other form to this lesson because I should make sure to teach them that. Oh, they definitely should know that. And like I'd keep adding more and more stuff while doing the planning stages. And every day I would think about like, oh, I need to add this form. So it ended up with like pretty much everything I could think of and a little more in those lessons. But then it means that some of the lessons are gigantic, like 30, 40 minutes for some of them. And I know the because lesson, if you've seen that one, that I had to split that into two. It was just too much. Okay, we'll get started with the lesson in just 5 minutes. YouTube's trying to bug me and tell me now is a good time to insert ads. No, I don't think so. Give it a try. Creators earn more money inserting ads the more viewers are watching. I have 81 of you guys watching. We're not doing this. We're not going to do this. Okay. We'll get started with the lesson soon, but before that, a couple quick announcements. There is no live stream next Sunday. Well, there isn't either Saturday either, but there's no live stream next Sunday since we had one last Sunday and we're having one today. So next Sunday will be off. And then the Sunday after that, we'll get 2 Sundays in a row with more lessons. So just letting you know, next Sunday is the break day. That's where I wish I could say I take a break, but it actually just gives me 2 extra days where I can work on the podcast and editing videos. Because I still have another 10 or so videos I have to edit from Korea that, yeah, hopefully I need to finish those as well before I can start filming the podcast. So before this lesson, if you want to make sure you're going to understand everything, make sure you know how to conjugate adjectives already before this lesson. If you don't, you can still listen to the lesson. You'll still get something out of it, but you won't be able to use it for yourself yet. Oh, Raymond. Hey, Raymond. Yeah, I made it on time. Instead of coming in at the end, you're like, hey, what did I miss? Thank you, Raymond. So yeah, if you know how to conjugate adjectives in this lesson, it'll save you some time. Claire says, are you filming any of your set building? You can learn some light construction and tool names. Yes, I'm going to be filming some. I've already filmed some of the prop work that I've been doing, because mostly before I build the set, I'm still trying to finalize what the dimensions are going to be, because which reminds me, I've got some good news and some bad news about the desk. So if you remember from last Sunday, we talked about my desk. I was saying if I'm going to put my set on the wall over here, which will give me a lot more space to build it, and I won't have to move it around every week to do live streams, then I'm going to be losing my big, nice desk. This desk is wonderful. I've been using it now for like 5 years. It's the perfect desk. But the bad news is I have to say goodbye to the desk because it's too big. It takes up the whole wall. And if I ordered a new desk from IKEA, about $170 after shipping, which is not terrible, but the new desk is almost the same size as my current desk, which is not too bad. So it's about 7 inches shorter. It's a little bit shorter. It's like this much shorter. It's not that big of a deal, but just that small difference means I'll be able to move it over to the other side of the room and free up this entire wall for filming. So that's what I'm going to do. The good news though is, I'm not throwing it away, which is very good news. I'm not going to throw away the desk. I would have had to throw it away or sell it for like $30 on Facebook Marketplace. But I just felt so bad doing that. I remember paying close to $300 for the desk when it was new. It's a very nice desk, very high quality. I can sit on it. You can jump on it. It's not going to break. So I'm going to be giving it to Jeremy. He doesn't know it yet. He thinks he's going to earn it by doing a reading challenge we gave him. I said, Jeremy, if you do this reading challenge, you read, I gave him some books and stuff. And within this amount of time, then you can have my actual desk. Because he says he wants the desk. So I'm like, okay, so it's a win-win. So Jeremy can get the desk in exchange for doing some reading. And this is like a different reading assignment. And in exchange for that, he'll get the desk. And then that way we won't have to throw it away. And it's a little bit, what's the word? It's like bittersweet. I guess that's the word. So I'm losing my desk, but I'm getting a desk that's almost just as good. It's still just as long. It's still just as wide. It's just a tiny bit shorter, and it's still good quality, and it still doesn't look ugly. It's not like a hideous gaming desk. And then Jeremy gets a really nice desk in his room. So it'll work out. And then I'll also get more space to make this set. So that's good. That's good as well. Yeah, I didn't want to throw away the desk, but I just really realized I'm going to need more space for putting up the set, because the more I thought about it, the more I realized I can't have the set sitting here in the room every single day, and then I won't even be able to do live streams because the set will be here. I'll have to push the set out just to do a live stream, and every video I film, I'll have to push the set out of the way. I can't do that. It has to be in the room. It has to be like semi-permanent, where I can move it if I need to, but it doesn't have to move for any of my videos. So that's what we're going to be doing. There's too many things. It's too big of a project, and this is part of the reason why I never did a podcast before, just because of how much space it takes out. But I think this will be a good solution to that problem. Okay. we've got a really big topic for today. We're going to be talking about 3 different tenses that you can make in Korean using one form. And although this is a beginner level lesson, even if you're intermediate, there's a good chance you actually don't know how this works. So that's good. That means you're going to learn something from this lesson, even if you think it's too basic for you. Okay, so we're going to start out with a very simple form, and that is the present tense. Tense. Okay, so present tense is just like I do, I am, he, she, whatever is. Just something currently in the present, right? You might already know the form like 해요, like 합니다. Someone is, someone does, 이에요, like that. That's all just present tense. And present tense is what you're going to use most of the time. So you can make the present tense using the form 것이다. 것이다. And this is what we're going to be talking about for all 3 tenses today. So to make the present tense with the form 것이다, you just take an adjective and you conjugate it to the present tense, which is the regular adjective form. If you already know how to do that, that's great. If you don't, well, that's the one that's going to end with like un or nun, or I guess it would be a nian, depending on if it's a descriptive verb or an action verb. Like an action verb like 하다, to do, you would get 하는. All the action verbs in the present tense will end with nun. But if you're talking about descriptive verbs, those would either end with nian or un, depending on the verb. And there are some exceptions to this as well. In fact, I have a free cheat sheet. Which one is it? Here we go. I have a free cheat sheet. I have one. I made one for action verbs and for descriptive verbs for how to conjugate adjectives from present tense, past tense, and future tense with all the different types of exceptions. You can get them completely for free on my Patreon. You don't have to pay anything to get these from my Patreon page. So you can download those. So present tense adjectives. I'm just going to assume that you know how to do this. You attach a present tense adjective before 것 with 이다 attached to the end. So what will this look like? And don't worry, we'll talk about how this is different from like 해요 and 이에요 and all that in a second. Just want to make sure you know how to do it. So, for example, 것이다 is simply 것 meaning thing, right? And 이다 meaning to be. So you're saying it is a thing that is whatever adjective. Now, you're going to conjugate 이다 also. So instead of just having 것이다, you're going to have something before, some sort of adjective, and then you're going to conjugate 이다, and that will become either like 것입니다, right? Or 것이에요, because you're just conjugating 이다 at the end. Or another really common thing that can happen is you get 거 instead of 것. It's the exact same thing. You can either have 것 plus 이다 or 거, and 거 is the same thing. So if we use 거 instead of 것, you have different options you can get. Instead of 것입니다, you can have 거입니다, so 겁니다. Or 거, instead of 이에요, you get 예요, since it ends with a vowel. So you can have like 겁니다, 거예요, like that. There are a lot of things you can do with this though. Like, what if you're using casual speech? Well, how do you get 이다 into casual speech? You can either have like 것이야, right? 이야. Or if it ends in a vowel, you just do 거야. So 것이야, 거야. Or what if you want to go further? These are all just examples. Hopefully you aren't seeing these for the very first time. What if you wanted to use the form like the day form? Well, 것 inde, right? 거신데. Or if you're using call, it's just 건데, 건데. Same thing. You could also do other forms attached to ida, just like you can when you conjugate ida normally. 거시지만, right? Or 거지만 if you're using just call. So you have a lot of options. A lot of options. Like 거시네, right? Anything. It's up to you. Use your imagination. There are no restrictions. You can conjugate ida completely normally, depending on what you want to say. So, between 것 and call. Does anyone know the difference, though? These have the same meaning, but call is more common in everyday speech. Speech. If you're writing an essay for TOPIK, use 것. But if you're talking with someone, I recommend using call. It's going to be much more common. Meaning-wise, they're the exact same thing. Just this one has more of a spoken feel. Okay. I don't want to go too fast, so I'm going to check the chat just for a second. Oh, Lexica. Thank you. Lexica's happy minute 7. Is it? It is minute. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that reminds me that it's minute 7, so I should be already a little bit further down this list. So let me see where we need to go. Okay. I don't want to go too slow, but I don't want to go too fast. There's a lot of stuff we got to go to. So remember though, action verbs, so a verb where you're doing something, will end with 는 when they're in the present tense as an adjective. So 하다, to do, well, you get 하는. So if we were to use our form, you can get 하는 거예요 or 하는 거야, for example. Whatever we want to put here, it's up to us how we want to conjugate it, depending on how we're speaking. 하는 거야, for example. Okay, so once you've gotten this far, now you have the present tense. I want to ask the chat though, before I talk about this, who already knew this is a present tense form? You might be familiar already with like 해요, like I do something. 좋아해요, 공부해요. 이해요. Who knew that this is also present tense? I just want to know, just kind of show of hands, if that sounds new to you. I'm still going to teach the lesson the same way. I'm just curious. Oh yeah, Blue Moon. There's some stuff on the free Patreon tier as well. There is a lot of stuff you get for joining as a paid member. If you join the lowest tier or above, any of the tiers, you get access to all of the worksheets and outlines for every live stream. You also get some exclusive posts occasionally. You'll get access to, in the future, it's going to be the podcast also will go on Patreon first for paid members. But I think the first few episodes, I'll make those free for Patreon. But yeah, there's some benefits for that. But even the free tier, you get all the cheat sheets. You get my study notebook. You get a bunch of stuff like that. Okay. Let's see, not me, not I. Me, nay. Oh yeah, Dig Rafney says, I'm lost. Don't worry. If you've just learned the alphabet, don't worry about this. In fact, you don't need this form if you haven't yet learned like 해요 or like 이해요, like 합니다. Any of those yet, that's the standard present tense that you're going to be learning first. This is also present tense though. Okay. I just was curious if anyone already knew that. So you can use this form, 것이다, to make the present tense with either descriptive verbs or action verbs. If you use it with a descriptive verb, the meaning you get is, again, 것이다, to be a thing. To be not just a thing, but like a noun. So it doesn't have to be just a thing. It could also be a person, but it's something, someone, a noun. So to be something or someone. And with the descriptive verb, you can have the meaning of to be a thing or a person that is whatever descriptive verb comes after. So when you use a descriptive verb as an adjective with koshida, what you are saying is something, whatever you're describing, is present tense. This is present tense. A thing or a person that is whatever it is. So if we were to say, for example, like pigonhada, to be tired, this is a descriptive verb. Although it ends in hada, it's a descriptive verb. So pigonhada as an adjective in the present tense is just pigonhan. So you could say pigonhan and then kotida, we can make it koya or koeo to be simple. Pigonan goeo means someone is a thing. In this case, it's a person. So it's going to be someone is someone who is pigonada, tired, is the literal meaning that you get. So you could say pigonheo, I am tired. Or you could say pigonhan goeo, I am a person who is tired. Literally, that's what you mean. These are both present tense. Okay, I'm going to explain it a little more. Don't worry, the lesson's not over. It might not be making sense yet, and that's okay. Or, if we were to use this with an action verb, instead of saying to be a thing or person that is, we would get to be a person or thing that does whatever action goes here. For example, if the action we're doing is kada, to go, you could say 저는 가요, I am going, I go. Or 가는 거예요, I am a person who is or who goes, like that. But the overall literal meaning, to be a thing or person that, is the same, no matter what verb you're using it with, whether it's an action verb or descriptive verb. Okay, literally, that is all that it means. I'm going to leave this up for just a second, and then we're going to talk about the main thing we're doing for this lesson, because this is just the background for what we're going to be talking about, and this will extend to the entire lesson today. I just want to give you a little second to write it down. I have a question, says Aniza. In present tense, are we going to use a topic marker twice? It's not the topic marker, Aniza. The second time is not the topic marker, because hanen is not, the nun in hanen is not the topic marker. It's part of the verb. Nun topic marker or un would only be when it's used after a noun or after a particle. But when it's used as part of a verb, it's not the same as the topic marker. It's actually not the topic marker. Okay. So I'm going to connect it all together now. Now we have our evidence spread out. And now let's kind of bring it together a little bit. So the main topic of today is how is tega heu, or even just how is heu different than ha는 거예요? Both of these are present tense. So I do it. I do it. Both of these are the same meaning, but these have a different nuance. So how is heu different than ha는 거예요 if they are both present tense? Think about it for a second. I've given you a couple clues, but I might not have given you enough to figure it out if you don't already know this. Okay, so when you use the koshida form, which is this form I just covered, and that's all there is to it, really. That's all there is. When you use this koshida form for present tense, again, you are saying something or someone is a thing or person that is or that does whatever. When you use the koshida form, what you're doing is describing something, right? Or someone. And I just explained that, and you already know that because it's the literal meaning. It is, or someone is something or someone that is. So if it's a person, it means it is a person who is doing something or who is something. And if it's an object, it is something that is, or something that whatever. So it directly describes something. Describing is the key word there. So by describing something, it adds emphasis in the sentence to the sentence's nuance, that you're kind of emphasizing the subject. Why? Because, again, this form sounds like you're describing something. You're not simply saying, I study Korean. What are you doing today? Well, I'm studying Korean. That's not what you're doing. When you say, 오늘 한국어 공부해요, I'm studying Korean. When you're saying that, you're just saying an action that you're doing. I am studying Korean, the end. When you are using this form, the literal meaning and the nuance of this form, while it is also present tense, it sounds like you are describing the subject, whatever it is you're talking about, a person, place, or thing, anything, because that's what it literally means. So instead of saying, like, for example, 저는 한국어 공부해요, like I'm studying Korean. Now it sounds like 공부하는 거예요. Hey, I am someone who is studying Korean. That's me. The nuance of using the 거시다 form adds a little bit of emphasis on the subject that's performing it, because all it's doing is describing the person or thing that you're talking about. Okay. It sounds more like you're explaining something or describing it. For example, another way you can think of this is maybe saying, like, you see, I'm just going to tell you something. I'm going to describe something for it. I'm going to explain something. That's kind of the nuance it has, a little bit, over the regular form. Or perhaps, like, if you're describing the reason for something, it kind of has the nuance of starting your sentence by saying, that's why. Or even, if you're going to describe like something that happened, you could say, well, the thing is, and then talk about it. So while it doesn't mean this, it has the nuance of describing something. So it kind of has the nuance of saying, like, well, you see, or, well, the thing is, I'm studying Korean right now, versus I am studying Korean. Again, the meaning of these two forms is the exact same. They both mean the present tense, and that can be with an action verb or a descriptive verb, any verb you want. The nuance is slightly different. Again, this is not a huge change, so don't say Billy told me that this form means, well, that's why. It does not have that meaning. It has a little bit of that nuance. Because you are describing the subject, it adds the nuance of, well, like, why are you describing him in the first place? Well, the reason is because I'm going to tell you something. You see, I'm just describing them by letting you know more information. It's kind of like giving some explanation for something. So it has this nuance. Okay. Let's see, make sure I do everything. Oh, yes. So that reminds me. So then why? It's almost like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I almost went into my Shaggy voice. So then when might you want to use 거시다 over the standard present tense form? Well, I just told you, maybe you're describing something or you're explaining something, but when you're making a sentence that has explanation, it often, though it doesn't have to, but it often will come with a reason. So sentences using 거시다 naturally tend to come together with sentences that are explaining the reason for something. In shorter terms, they get used with because forms often. Like, well, hey, why are you doing your homework at 3 a.m? Oh man, I have to study today. Okay. Oh man. Well, you see, I got a really difficult test, so that's why I have to study. they tend to get used, this form tends to get used together in sentences or two sentences that have a explanation. And that explanation will often come with like a because form. So it doesn't have to, but due to the nuance that it gives, it tends to. And if you're using this form in context where there is no reason to, where there's no reason to suddenly say this sort of nuance, then this form will actually sound unnatural. I just said something very big right now. Hopefully you took a note on that. This form, I'll say it again, this form can sound unnatural if it's used in a context where it's not necessary to explain yourself. If you are simply saying something that happened, you do not need this form because you're not explaining anything when you're just saying, I like cheese. 저는 치즈 좋아해요. 정말 좋아해요. You're not explaining anything. You're just talking. But someone's like, hey, why do you like cheese? And you're like, you know what? Since I was a child, I've been traumatized by all food that's not dairy. The first time my mother could feed me anything was a bowl of yogurt, plain yogurt. I didn't have cheese until I was but a man. So you see, the thing is, that's why I love cheese. And there is your natural usage of koshida. Hopefully that helps a little bit. We're not done though. I still have a little bit more to describe. I want you guys to get this form. I want you to understand why they use it, because it is present tense, but it's a little bit different. And I don't want you to mix it up because I get people mixing it up a lot. Mafaz. No, we're going to talk about that actually. That I have there's actually a whole thing, a little segment at the end of this part about what you're asking, Mafaz. Kind of. Okay, but I want you to get the nuance. The most important thing about this form, I think, is the nuance, because it's the same meaning. It's just the present tense. But like, why would you use it over the present tense? It's that nuance. Yeah. Yes, you could. Well, you see, 너무 맛있는 거예요. Because it's so good. Tastes so good. Yeah. If you want that nuance, you use this form. But again, actually, I'll say something else. I'm not done. Okay. Let me just give another note. So, if that form, koshida, adds a little bit of nuance to the sentence, then what about the regular present tense? What does this form do? Well, it doesn't have that meaning. It doesn't sound like you're explaining something. Therefore, it doesn't add that extra emphasis to the subject that you're describing the subject or anything. So it's plain. If anything, this form adds a little bit of emphasis to the verb. So, 치즈를 좋아해요. I like cheese. Just sounds like, well, I like cheese. It has a slight nuance, emphasis to the verb. Like. I like cheese. I like cheese actually, but I'm not that crazy about it. I mean, I like it, but yeah. So the regular present tense, the regular Yule form present tense that you know, where you conjugate the verb, which I also have a free cheat sheet for on Patreon. There's a whole one for all the conjugation rules. Make sure to get it out. Why am I spending so much of my time advertising a product that's free? Because I love you guys. I want you to learn Korean. That's why. Okay. This form doesn't have any of that nuance of explanation, doesn't have an emphasis on the subject or anything like that. It just adds a little bit of nuance to the verb itself. So if you want to compare the two forms, 해요 and 하는 거요, the main difference is going to be the first one, 해요, adds a little bit more emphasis to the verb, and hanengoyo adds a little bit more emphasis to the subject. So if you want to talk about the subject, use 는고요 or 는것이다. If you want to talk more about the verb, you just use the standard form. That's another tip. Okay. So, again, this is a nuance difference. And if you don't know the difference between those, then my recommendation is just use the regular form. Because most of the time, you do not need that nuance of describing something. You don't need the emphasis that you're describing something, someone. You can just use this for like every single sentence until you know better. And then when you know better, you're still just going to be using this for most sentences because this one works fine. So let me do another example sentence. Really quick example. Okay. Actually, I want you to make this. I want you to make my sentence here into the... Why did I do it bad twice? I want you to make this sentence here into the 는... Well, actually, I don't want to tell you. Into the koshida form. And if you don't know how to make this into the koshida form, just cheat off your neighbor. It's okay. I'll let you do it today. 기다리고 있어요. 기다리다 is to wait. So 기다리고 있어요. I am waiting. I'm waiting. Is that a line from anything? I don't think so. Kind of sounds like Freudleben, which I think was something from Animaniacs. I remember. Anyway, okay. Change this into koshida. I want you to change this into koshida. I like turtles. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that kid would have said in Korean. Probably the same thing. 거북이를 좋아합니다. 거북이를 좋아해요. Yes. I'm waiting. No, it wasn't the Miracle Max. I wasn't doing my Miracle Max impression. You know what I love is like a nice BMT sandwich with a mutton is nice and tender. I can only remember some of his quotes. If he's all dead, well, the only thing you could do is go through his pockets and look for loose change. If you're a fan of Princess Bride, I highly recommend watching was it Quibi? There was like a failed mobile TV service that made like vertical videos, vertical shorts. It was before shorts were a thing, but it failed. And during that, on there was a bunch of celebrities during COVID made a remake of Princess Bride, and it is great. I watched the whole thing. It's really well done, and some of the acting is like fantastic. Who is it? Jason Segel is like, oh my goodness. Oh, I don't want to spoil anything. It's so good. Pedro Pascal is in it too, I think. But no, who's the best one? Diego, the guy, the actor from the Rogue One movie and I think Andor as well. He's in it too. He's like go watch it. If you know anything about Princess Bride, go watch the remake that they did. It's so good. Vizzini. Oh, that's right. That's right. You're thinking of Vizzini. I wasn't trying to do a Vizzini impression either. Inconceivable. Yeah, it's great. I don't know what we're talking about. Back to the lesson. Why did I do the same mistake twice? Because I was thinking of Vizzini. Wallace Shawn is a gem. Okay. 기다리고 있어요. I am waiting versus 기다리고 있는 거예요. I am waiting. So here, 있다 becomes 있는. It conjugates as if it's an action verb, although it's used as a descriptive verb. So, both the same sentence, but the second one, 기다리고 있는 거예요. It's like saying, not just like I'm waiting, but like, hey, let's talk about me, okay? What am I doing? Well, I'm waiting. Has that kind of nuance. So you probably won't say this if you just wanted to tell someone, what are you doing? But if they ask you, hey, why are you, sitting on the side of the curb looking all sad? Well, then you can explain yourself. 그냥 기다리고 있는 거예요. Like, it's what I am doing now is waiting. You see, it has that explaining tone to it. Or because of something, like my friend is late. So, you see, I'm waiting. Because it explains something. It describes the subject. In this case, me, I'm waiting. If you're just going to make the sentence, I'm waiting, you're not going to use this one because you don't need that. But if you're just going to say, I'm waiting, just say 기다리고 있어요. I'm waiting. Okay. This is not an example of that form. This is just the sentence, 왜 지금 가요? Why are you going now? So someone asks you, why are you leaving? You can answer this question in a variety of ways. You could just say, well, I have an appointment and my friend is going, so I have to go follow my friend. You can give a bunch of reasons for this. It's common to use the koshida form when you're answering a question for that same reason. So if someone were to ask, 왜 지금 가요? Here's one way you could answer. So, I think I just see a donation pop up. Check that out. Oh, Flo Purdy. Flo, thank you. Flo says, bottom of the hour, 감사합니다. Thank you so much, Flo. Nice. I was just blown away that we were able to hit the funding goal for the podcast because I was worried that I would spend way more than I fundraised. And fortunately, I did another calculation the other day with everything I purchased already, plus the stuff I still have to buy, plus a few things I think I'm going to have to buy, but I haven't bought yet, like a circular saw. I might need to get one of those. Besides that stuff, I think it's going to be fine for the fundraiser, which is great. So I'll be able to get everything. I also already purchased the new microphone, which turned out to be close to $700, but I'm going to sound so good. Even if it's the worst podcast ever made, I'm going to sound fantastic. And you're not going to be able to stop listening because you're going to say like, this is the worst podcast I've ever listened to in my entire life, but gosh darn it, Billy sounds so good. I can't stop listening. So it's a really good microphone. It's the RE20. I'm so excited to get it. If you know anything about microphones, you'll know like that's like the peak. That's like the crisp, the best of the best. Okay. So if someone asks, why are you going now? This would be a natural way to use the koshida form. 지금 약속이 있어서, because I have an appointment now, 가는 거예요. I'm going. You see, the thing is, I'm going now because sounds very natural. You're not just saying, I have an appointment now, so I have to go. Like you're answering a question specifically that someone asked you about the reason. So you're describing, you're like, you see, well, I got to go now because I have an appointment. So it doesn't have to be, but it tends to get used a lot in sentences where you are describing something, like explaining something, and that comes with a reason. In this case, because I have an appointment. Or if someone asks you, why are you leaving now? You could reply with, 친구가 가는 거예요. Or you could say, 내일은, so tomorrow, 친구가, my friend is 가는 거예요. Well, you see, my friend is going tomorrow. So that's why I'm going now. 내일은 친구가 가는 거예요. So it's not just the sentence like 친구가 가는 거예요, like my friend is going. It would be better just to say 친구가 가요 or anything like that. But because you're explaining something, you see, the thing is, it sounds more natural to use 것이다. And if you don't know the difference, if you can't feel when to do it, I just recommend using the standard 요 ending, like 가요 would be more natural than to risk doing it this way. But as you hear Koreans use it more often, you'll get the feel of like, oh, I see, they're explaining something. And you'll kind of get a better feel of when to use it and when not to. Okay, there's one more thing about this form that I have to talk about, and that is going back to its literal meaning. 것이다, again, to be, and then a thing, or this could be a person. This form, as we learned, is used to show a nuance, but it also still literally means to be something or someone that is whatever we put before it. Adjective plus 것이다, to be a adjective thing. If the adjective is, well, funny, well then, oh, it's a funny thing is what you're saying. But you also still are literally saying it is a funny thing. Every time when you use this form, it is, or he or she or they are a thing or a person that is going to the party. It is still that meaning, literally. That is what it means. So there are many cases where you can use this form for its literal meaning. Not that you're saying, like, I am reading a book. But you could also use it to say, the book is a thing that you read. Maybe, who is that? George of the Jungle asks you, ooh, George, like, I don't know, I haven't seen that movie in forever. He's looking at the book, right? And he's like, what is this? And you're like, well, George, you see, a book is a thing that you read. And that is the form you will use to say that sentence. Literally, it means to be a thing that you do something, right? So a book is 읽다, is to read. So 읽는 거예요. So a book is a thing that you read. 책은 읽는 거예요. A book is something that you read. This is not a weird sentence. This is perfectly natural. You're not saying like the book is reading, right? 책은 읽는 거예요. The book, well, you see the book is reading. It's not what it means. It literally still has this meaning. So keep an eye out. This is a form that can be used in two different ways. Yes. Wait, why Animaniacs and Princess Bride? Because there's some things that I grew up with. Just a few things. Oh, my daughter sent you money through PayPal because I can't seem. Oh, Kat, let me check. Hold on. I didn't have my email open, so I wasn't able to check PayPal donations. Oh, hey. Hey, thank you so much. Wait, I see two donations on PayPal. Which one is it? I see there are two. There's one for $10. I think it's you. I think that's you, the $10 one. And I see someone else gave a $5 donation. I don't want to read the email because it might be, I don't know if it's like your official email or something. Who sent the $5 donation? The Sydney? Okay, maybe it was the Sydney one. Okay, thank you, Kat. I didn't know which one was which. Someone else also sent a $10 donation. Did I miss something? Who was that? Let me know. I'll put you on the board as well. Thank you, both of you. I didn't have my Gmail open, so I couldn't check. Yes, thank you again, Kat. Tell your daughter thank you for taking care of that. Okay. I'm going to give you another example. And there are more of these. I think there's another one, maybe two, another one at least on the worksheet as well for today. So you could also say, This sentence has two meanings. 이것도. So this thing also 제가 좋아하는 거예요. So this thing is also something that I like. Literally, this thing is also something I like. This is also something I like. 이것도 제가 좋아하는 거예요. Or 이것도 제가 좋아하는 거예요. This also, well, you see, I like it. Could have that meaning too. But again, literally, it always still has this meaning. This is also something that I like. Something that I like. So it is a thing that I 좋아하는, that I like. Okay, I'm going to do one more sentence. Did anyone else say they donated on Patreon and I didn't check it? That would have been at 2:15. Oh, for the quarter of the hour donation. Wait, where'd they go? Are they here? Who is the culprit? Yeah, I don't want to read out their name because I'm not 100% sure because I don't recognize the. Wait, actually, I think I can check. Hold on. Let me see if I can check. No, it doesn't show. Doesn't show up. It doesn't show up. Okay, one more. You could end the sentence two ways. 이건, so 이것은. This thing is 원래. 원래 is like normally or originally. So this is normally 어려워요. It's normally difficult. Yeah, this is normally difficult. Don't worry, this is normally a bit difficult. Or 어려운 거예요. So it is difficult normally, you see? This one has that explanation nuance to it. But again, same meaning, different nuance. If you don't know which to use, I recommend just using the regular one. Oh, Sigo Minko. Hey, first time donor. I don't think I've seen your name before. If I have, I'm sorry. I don't recognize it. Sigo Minko. Thank you, Sigo Minko. I don't know what language that is or if it's supposed to be pronounced that way, but it is now. Sigo Minko. You are Italian from today. Thanks for the lessons, Billy. I leave from New Jersey to Incheon in 31 hours. You are excited to go. You are counting down by the hour. Is it your first time? That's awesome. Kat says, I missed half the class trying to make that happen. Oh no. Okay, let me see here. I'm just checking here. Sue was asking, when people use the 는 것이다 form, are they just putting it? Oh, like I said, we'll talk about that for question. Don't worry. That's still next here. Okay. So, again, this could mean this is normally difficult, or this also could mean 이건 원래, this is normally 어려운 거, something that is difficult. So not only does it mean like, hey, this is normally difficult, you see, it has that explanation feeling, but it could also literally just mean this is normally something 거 that is difficult. And this is normally something that's difficult. 이건 원래 어려운 거예요. So it is precisely its literal meaning that gives it a nuance difference. Very simple, right? I've just demystified it. It's not crazy now. Hopefully you're kind of feeling like, well, I don't have it mastered yet, but at least I understand it. I hope you feel like that at least now. Like, okay, I kind of get it. But it's not like a mystical, like, ooh, it's a feeling. You just got to get the feel for it. But no, it literally means something different. That's why it has that nuance difference in the first place. Okay. One more thing. from the guy from Jackie Chan, the animated Jackie Chan Adventures show. The grandpa on that show is always like, one more thing. That's what I remember. Okay. These two sentences both mean, what are you doing? 뭐해요? 뭐하는 거요? What's the difference? Think about it for just 30 seconds, and then I'll give you the answer. Yes, it's raining. My first time. 3 weeks. Nice. That's good. That's a really good time for a trip. Most people, when they go to Korea their first time, it's like 5 days or like a week or something like that. You're getting enough time to adjust to the jet lag. It's kind of bad though, because then you're actually not going to have a hard time adjusting there, but you're going to have a really hard time adjusting back. Because 3 weeks, you're going to be fully adjusted to Korea time. I can give you some tips for readjusting if you'd like. But anyway, going there, you should be mostly fine. Just, you're not going to sleep very good for the first night or two, but you'll be totally fine after that. So 3 weeks is enough time to do lots of little things. You can see like all the main sites you want to see. And it also is enough time that you're not going to feel rushed. You shouldn't feel like too rushed because you got a lot of time to do stuff. You'll have maybe like a free day where you can just kind of relax, meet a friend, walk around. That's really good to hear. You get to go for a long time. Is too rude? No, not. It might be. Doesn't necessarily have to be. Yes, Lexica. What are you doing versus what is it that you're doing? So again, 뭐해요? Literally just what are you doing? There is no extra emphasis. So it has relatively a little more emphasis on the verb, just because it doesn't have emphasis on the subject. 뭐 하는 거예요? Like, what is it that you are doing? So this kind of describes the person. So, hey, I'm talking about you. What are you doing? Hey, you, what are you doing? A little bit like that for the nuance. Now, this is not a strong nuance. It's not like night and day difference. It's a small nuance difference. This one has more of like an explain yourself kind of feel. It's not that it's rude by itself, but if someone's trying to give off that kind of rude vibe, they're going to pick this one. Because it kind of implies like, hey, explain yourself. What is it that you're doing? Versus just, what are you doing? So by default, this one isn't rude, but it tends to get picked over this one when someone is trying to be a bit rude or when trying to be a bit stronger. So if you pair this with an angry tone, like instead of koyo, what if we make it koya? 뭐해? What are you doing? Casual. 뭐 하는 거야? Explain yourself. What are you doing? It has that kind of tone. Excuse me. I think I like swallowed something weird. So that's the main difference. Either of these are okay, but if you're talking with your friend, you probably just want this. Unless you're joking with your friend, you probably can use this one too. 뭐 하는 거야? Like, what the heck are you doing, man? Which doesn't have to be rude. It could be like funny rude. But 뭐해? 뭐해요? This one is just normal. What are you doing? Okay. So you should be a master about koshida. You should be a master at using koshida now. Because our next form we're going to talk about is the future tense. You might already know this form. Do you already know the future tense koshida form? If you do, congratulations. It's the same form. What? This form isn't only for present tense? You're telling me it's for future tense too? I'm kind of joking. You probably already know this form. This is the regular form you use for making the future tense. You know the one that ends with like this? The verb stem and you attach or a lir and koshida. That is this same exact form we just spent 30 minutes learning about. But instead of taking an adjective in the present tense form, which ends with un or a nian or nun, now you use the future tense adjective form, yippee, which ends with this or this. And it doesn't matter if it's an action verb or a descriptive verb. These are the only two options for future tense. So it's even easier to make. Think about it for 1 second. So whoever is doing something is a thing or a person who will do or will be adjective or whatever the verb is. That is this future tense form, the exact same thing. Again, this could become like 할 거예요, 할 거야 in casual speech, 할 겁니다, or 할 거지만, 할 건데. Everything's the exact same with how it can conjugate because it's the exact same form. So then, let me ask you, ooh, my eraser just fell apart. Let me ask you then, what is the difference? I still don't know for sure who it is that sent the $10 donation for the 15-minute mark. Show yourself. Because it didn't put the username in. I only have the email. It was at 2:15. And they said, oh, wait. I think I can find out. I think I have a notepad. I think I can figure it out. I have a notepad with some emails that I can find the live stream files, streaming. Oh, where is that? Okay, maybe here. Live streaming. I have them saved here. Because I have the photo somewhere. I have the information somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, I give up. I have a file where I wrote down all of the people who have every single minute mark, but I can't find it immediately. And I don't want to spend 10 minutes looking for it during a live stream. Just let me know. Maybe that donation was for the podcast. It wasn't, because a podcast has a separate donation form, and I've ended that. I mean, you can still donate for it, but I've ended asking for it. So, okay, we'll figure out. You can't hide from us forever. We're looking for you. We'll find you. Okay. Actually, I think I need more space than this. Let's see. So then, how is 제가 하겠습니다 versus different? Let me say it again. So how is 제가 하겠습니다 different from saying 제가 할 거예요? Again, same thing as before. However, in this case, this form is preferred in pretty much all cases to say someone will do something. 하겠습니다, or any form using this 겠다 ending, when it's used as the future tense and not being used to say like could be or would be or must be, when it's used as the future tense is most often used with formal speech. So 겠습니다 is the most common way you're going to see this used if it's the future tense. You're not going to see like 하겠어요 used often. You could use it, but it's much less common. So, 겠습니다 is only for formal speech and respectful speech, and it shows a little bit more determination, like I shall do it, I will do it. Sounds like that. So it's less common. So when it comes to the future tense, you don't have to worry about the nuance difference between using the 것이다 form and using the other future tense form, because this is the only one that gets used for regular speech. So you don't have to worry about it, but it has the same meaning. It is something that I will do. So me, it is something I will do. Like that. Again, I will do it versus I will do it. It's very small nuance difference, but this one's easier to do. And in fact, you guys already know this form, I'm sure. So I'm not going to bother with any sentences for it. But if you would like a couple example sentences, make sure to get the outline as well as the worksheet for this lesson. I have I think there's 4 other sentence examples with the future tense. But we're not going to bother with that because that's basic. I want to go on then to one more form that I guarantee many intermediates don't actually know how it works. But there is a past tense version of this form as well. You've probably seen this before, but you might not know how it's different. If you take an adjective, again, action verb or descriptive verb, and now you make the past tense adjective form, which is the same thing as the future tense, but just instead of adding the lir, you just swap it for this letter, nian. It's really easy to make. So now you have the past tense form. And you attach koshida. So you could have, for example, hada would become hangoeo, for example, or hangoya. Or hangonde, hangojiman. Anything like that. Exactly the same as before for this part. The only thing that's changing is your conjugation of the adjective, because now we're doing a past tense adjective. This means now, again, to be a thing or a person that was, if it's a descriptive verb, or did something, if it's an action verb. So, I am someone who did something, or I am someone who was something, is what it means, just like before. How is this form different than the regular past tense? For example, 제가 했어요. I did it. Versus 제가 한 거예요. Think about this for a second. How could these be different? Maybe you can actually already know the answer, or maybe you kind of feel the answer. What's the difference then between saying 제가 했어요 and 제가 한 거예요? Because they both mean I did it. 하다, to do. So 제가 했어요. I did it. 제가 한 거예요. I did it. What's the difference? Oh, Sue Amazing. Yeah, you could use it like it's something that I'm going to do. 그것도 제가 할 거예요. Or typically, though, there's another way you can do it. You don't have to use it with 것, but you can also use it with the word 일 if it's a job. Like 일 means work or a task or like a job. So 그건 제가 할 일이에요. That's something that I will do. If you want to describe it, it's common to use 일 if it's like a work, like a task job. But if it's not a work thing, then you can assume it to be the exact same thing. But it is the same literal meaning. Yeah. First one emphasizes a verb, second the subject. Yeah, emphasis on the subject. You all got it. Also, again, Mikey, 'twas I who did it. Yeah, sure. Yes, it also could literally mean it is something that I did. 아, 그것도 제가 한 거예요. That is also something that I did, is what it also can mean. So, again, it adds explanation. It's not simply saying I did it, but like you see, well, blah, 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 and so I did it. The thing is, well, I did it. It has that feeling to it. And if you don't understand that feeling, or if you can't remember it in the moment, just use the regular one. Past tense, 했어요, 갔어요, 먹었어요, 이었어요, like that. And you're going to be fine. But that extra nuance can be important if you're explaining something. Or maybe you are saying it is something that I did. Then you can use that one. Okay. Now, for this one, I am going to give a couple example sentences. Because unlike the future tense, this one is less obvious. Since everyone already knows that future tense, so I didn't bother with that. But this one's a little less obvious. Okay. 어제, yesterday. 늦게, late. 잤어요. I slept late yesterday. Perfect sentence. Yesterday I slept late. 어제 늦게 잔 거예요. So the thing is, I slept late yesterday. Let's talk about this. This is not going to be the most natural sentence you can make, but let's talk about why. So, 어제 늦게 잔 거예요. So I am a person who slept late yesterday. So me, well, I slept late yesterday, you see. If you walked into a meeting and you're randomly like arriving late and you look at the boss, you're like, hey, well, you see, I am a person, I slept late yesterday, you see. The boss is going to be like, you're promoted to CEO. No, he's going to be like, go back and get some more sleep. You're still clearly not functioning correctly. It sounds a bit awkward to just randomly explain something without context. We can make this more natural, however, if we add in some sort of reason why you're explaining yourself. Maybe we could say something like this. Okay. 어제 너무 피곤해서 because I was, again, you don't use past tense with 서 when you're saying because. 어제 너무 피곤해서 because I was so tired yesterday or too tired yesterday, 늦게 잔 거예요. I slept late. You see, I slept late because I was so tired yesterday. Now you have a very natural sentence and you're still fired, but your Korean's correct. And that's really all that's important. 어제 너무 피곤해서 늦게 잔 거예요. So now there's a reason to add an explanation. Now there's a reason to add an explanation nuance to your sentence. You're not just saying, you see, I slept late yesterday, but now you're saying, well, you see, I was so tired yesterday that I slept late. So now it matches the tone of your sentence. If you can't get this far, I would say at least just make the first sentence. Like, hey, I slept late yesterday. I slept late yesterday. Would be fine. You don't have to use this to sound, it's not more fancy, but since it has that feeling of like describing whatever you're talking about, in this case, yourself, you want to have some sort of reason for describing yourself. Like maybe they asked you what's going up. What's happening, bro? Fellow kid, why are you here late? Well, you can explain yourself. Yeah, well, you see, I was up too late last night. I was too tired and I slept late. Something like that. Okay. Let's do one more. Okay. 지하철 is subway. 지하철 놓쳤어요. 놓치다 is to miss. So, 지하철 놓쳤어요. I missed the subway. I missed the subway. Perfect sentence. If we're going to use the 것이다 form, though, to say this, we're not just going to be like, so you see, I missed the subway. Because that's kind of weird nuance in English, too. Like, why are you just going up to someone and saying, oh, so you see, I missed the subway? Like, you're not going to say that to your friend. That's weird. Why are you saying, so you see, or you see, I missed the subway? Like, why are you going to say that? It's going to come with some sort of explanation, right? So you're going to say, well, you see, 나와서 지하철? Why can't I spell? Oh, got a donation. You can read this while I'm checking the donation. Did you have extra caffeine today? No. Just the normal amount, which might be too much anyway. I'm extra sensitive to caffeine in the first place. since I never really drink it much. So if I ever do have caffeine, my body's like that, like right now. Oh, Buku. Hey, Buku. And we still have that donation, the mysterious donation, the 15-minute donation. I can't remember who that is. I see the email, but I don't want to call you out by your real email address. I need to know who you are. I will find you. And I will thank you. And in the meantime, Buku sent $10 donation saying, can you summarize present, future, and past tense versions of this koshida form, including the progressive? Summarize all three. All right, I'll see if I can include a quick summary at the end of this lesson. We're almost done with this. This is the last sentence. I can probably do that. Okay. So, 늦게 나와서, because I came out of the house late, 지하철을 놓친 거예요. I am someone who missed the subway, literally, because I came out late. So you see, I missed the subway because I came out late. 늦게 나와서 지하철을 놓친 거예요. So now it has a natural feel to it. It's not just saying, so you see, I missed the subway. Like, okay. But now it's like, so you see, I missed the subway because I came out late. And now the sentence sounds natural. Almost went into my Seinfeld impression. Almost. So it doesn't have to be used with a because form. I'm just doing this to illustrate on its own how you can make a natural sentence using this form. In context, however, already, like if someone's asking you a question, you're trying to explain something, it will sound natural as long as there's a reason for you to explain something. What's the deal with the koshida form? Okay. Oh, hey, Kai. Kai, you're just in time to miss the whole lesson. And that is our lesson. Let me do a quick thumbnail. I don't know if I want that as the thumbnail. Like, why am I laughing? I'll just do this. Something like that. Like, hey, buddy. Hey, Adobe CEO's here. Yes. Things are one of her captive. Oh, no. You don't want that. Adobe's got prison break going on in their headquarters. Yes. 어떻게 된 거야? Yeah. Tell me, how did it happen? Or what happened more naturally? Lynn, I missed everything. Hey, Lynn. Oh, Becky says, I'm slowly digesting info. I'm sorry, but I will put up this as an abridged version. You can watch it again. And you can also scroll back in this video right now and pause it and then click live and it'll take you back if you need more time. Okay. Billy, what's the difference between to put in, do, to put on? They're different. If you want to say to put something in something, to insert, 넣다 with all, and 놓다 is to put something down. Is this grammar always used with because? Nope. In context, you can use it without those forms. The reason I included them here is just to kind of help you feel like why might you want to use it. But if you already have the context for that, like they asked you a question or you were already talking about something and you want to say like 그래서, like that's why you see, and then like 뭐뭐 한 거예요 or whatever, then that'll work too. Just as long as you understand that using koshida is like saying, you see, well, the thing is, this is me. I'm telling you about me, like, or whoever it is, the subject, or whatever it is you're talking about. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be, this test is too difficult. You see? Like that. As long as you have context for explaining something, where you're like adding detail to something, it's fine to use it. Okay, we wanted a quick summarization of these three forms. So this is not part of the lesson. I'm just going to give you really quick. So present tense will be with attaching these, one of these with koshida. Future tense will be these And then past tense will be this. To make these conjugations, though, it's impossible for me to give you a quick summary because each verb has its own rules. But I can do one better for you. I have, and I mentioned this just a second ago as well, like a few minutes ago. I have cheat sheets for both descriptive verbs and action verbs for how to make adjectives in all tenses, including past tense, and there's a double past tense as well. Like there's advanced stuff on here you can ignore if you're not yet at the at like an intermediate level. But all of the conjugation is here. All the rules for it, it's all nicely organized with all the exceptions for every verb. So you can just look at this and cheat. And yeah, it all fits on one page. And these are completely free. So you don't even have to join my Patreon page as a paid member to get these. You just subscribe to the Patreon, but you don't have to pay anything to get them. There are actually 12 of these cheat sheets. These are just the 2 for adjectives. There's one for numbers, like how to make numbers, all the numbers in Korean, like tips for using the number system, all of the most common counters, as well as example sentences for each, a tip guide for the Korean alphabet, like how to read them, pronunciation exceptions, the dates, seasons, common vocabulary, and most common, the major holidays, like when they are and the names for them, all the sound change rules. This is my favorite one personally. It fits all the sound change rules and advanced sound change rules fit on one sheet very nicely. The standard hail, or like, the Yule form conjugation for all verbs and exceptions. Most common markers and particles. Not everyone, but these are just the most common ones for the object marker, subject marker, topic marker. Some of the most common particles, and then multiple uses for, especially the particle uro, which has many uses. Most common postpositions, like things like inside, below, under, how they're different. The most common colors and variations of colors, including how to make your own colors. This one's also very dense with information. How to tell the time, saying before and after. Vocab for things like how to say in 3 o'clock sharp, or like half past, or like a short while ago, or things like that, past midnight. Yeah, all of these, there are 12 of them, and they're all free. So get them on Patreon. I don't make any money for them, but I'm happy to hear people are using these and like them. If you join the paid tier, though, you do get access to PNG versions of those, which is better if you want it. If you wanted to print it out in a poster, you would have to join the paid version of Patreon, which is it's an exorbitant amount of money. It's $1. It'll just destroy your wallet. But if you do join for $1, then you can download the full, like, high quality, which you could print out. But the regular JPEG versions are fine for a piece of paper. Oh yeah, Patreon. Sure. Let me see. I think I have a link for that. Sue Amazing. Yeah, check out the cheat sheet. It has that exact form you're asking about. Because it's both. There are actually 2. Technically, there are 3 past tense forms using this. We only talked about one today, but there is another one with ton, and there are 2 versions of that. Like, for example, hada could be hadon or hetton. And my cheat sheet also has that. But that's a separate lesson. So I don't want to go into that today. Sorry, but if we were to go into that, that's a whole lesson to talk about how to use ton. But it's briefly summarized on the cheat sheet. And I also have other live stream lessons about that form. It's just more of the past tense. Like instead of saying past tense, it's like used to. Something was in the past, but is no longer sort of meaning. Uh-oh, yeah, there's Mikey and then there's Mike E. I might have to start adding a pause when I say your name so that you know whether I'm talking about Mikey or Mike E. Kai says, can confirm my $1 monthly subscription finally broke me. It broke me financially. I couldn't eat for a month. I'm sorry about that. I know Adobe only pays you 33 cents a week. They really should raise that, but I mean, you don't really have a choice. So in the sentence, 끝이 정해진 길이라 해도. So I actually have in the sentence connector course I'm uploading right now, there is a lesson about how to use 해도, but it's basically even if you say that. So for example, you can think of it as like, for example, or even saying that even if we say like, even if, you can also think of it like that. But yeah, if you want to learn, I would say check out the lesson on even in the connectors course lesson. I think I've already posted it. If not, it's coming up soon. But I think I already posted the lesson about how to say even. And that one's in there too. If you want some more examples, but yeah, that's a really quick example. Did you watch the Karate Kid movie, the new one? I refuse to watch it because, I mean, the one that came out in 2010 with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith surprisingly wasn't terrible. It was okay. It was a rehash of Karate Kid. And I don't know why they called it Karate Kid when he doesn't do karate. It's just for brand recognition. But that one was okay. The new one, though, I saw like the trailer. It looked bad. I read reviews. It doesn't look very good. So I wasn't interested in it. Although I loved Cobra Kai. I wasn't, they didn't get me to watch the new Karate Kid movie. It just didn't appeal to me. Didn't look good. I've seen some clips of it. Also, I tried watching clips before I went to watch the movie, and it's not my style. It doesn't look very good. They said they'll only raise my pay if I pull you in as a client, but they won't improve their products. Well, maybe we could work something out. Like maybe if I work with them like one day of each year, they'll let you out of your cell for a one day of each year in exchange. Maybe I could do that. I'm reasonable. We could work together on something. Okay. How do you think you can practice speaking in the early stages to journal? So you can't really practice speaking until you have a certain level, and you can't really reach that certain level until you practice speaking. So it's kind of like a chicken and the egg sort of situation, but you just have to do one or the other until you get to a certain level where you can actually practice. But in the very, very beginning stages, the answer is you can't do much. The best sort of practice with speaking that you can do as a beginner is reading your own sentences that you're like writing down from books or your lessons, writing them down yourself and reading those out loud is going to be your best speaking practice. Just practicing what they are telling you to say, what the teacher says. Oh, here's the sentence for today. Writing that down as it exactly appears on your screen and reading it out to yourself, listening to how, your teacher says it. Hopefully they don't say it like that. Listening to how your teacher says it and then practicing it yourself. There isn't much more you can do. When you have the basics, like you have the alphabet, you have some basic grammar, you can conjugate verbs, you can make simple sentences. Maybe somewhere where you're at like, lesson like 30 to 40 of my beginner course, where it's like you're just starting to get the rules for making sentences done. That's the point where you can actually kind of start to practice a little bit. And at that level, you're not going to still be doing much. It's just going to be stuff like writing your own sentences, like short sentences. And then maybe if you have a Korean friend to practice with, sending them, like sharing your sentences, like showing off to your friend. Hey, look what I learned today. Here's a sentence I made. Like that's going to be the extent of what you can do as a beginner. As you get to the high beginning level and you've gotten the basics, you've learned them. You haven't mastered them, but you've learned the basic stuff. You can make sentences, you know how to say like, I want to, I am going to do, I'm thinking about, like these sorts of things. Then you can do full practice with natives. You can speak with tutors. There's so many things you can do beyond then. Oh, Buku. Buku. Thank you, Buku. I see you made another message. Let me read that in a second too. Thank you for $5. I wish I could send those $5 to Kai though, so that Kai can get 5 months of food. Your past and present tense summary looks nearly identical. Present or past? Yeah, it's a good point. So you noticed something. Ooh. This is the reason you need to know if a verb is action verb or descriptive verb. When you're making a present tense adjective, a descriptive verb will attach either this or this, but an action verb will only attach none to the stem. So if you're doing the verb hada, to do hada, not to be, not the descriptive verb, but to do, it's only going to become ha는. But this is regardless of action verb or descriptive verb. This is just verb. Same with this. So in the past tense, it would be han. Or maybe the verb is like 먹다, to eat. 먹은, past tense. If you know it's an action verb, actually you don't need to know if it's an action verb or not for the past tense because it's the same thing. If we have a descriptive verb, 피곤하다, so 피곤한, even though it's not an action verb, 피곤한 is a descriptive verb. I know I wrote that kind of weird here. It's the same as the action verb 하다. So past tense doesn't matter. Future tense also doesn't matter because it's any verb. The present tense is the only one that you need to know. Because if you see a verb that ends with like han, like the adjective ends with han, you know it's not going to be an action verb. It can't be. Because action verbs would always end with 는 for the adjective form. So you have to know if it's an action verb or descriptive verb. Because 하다 at the end of 피곤하다, to be tired, would become 피곤한 것이다. Or 하다, to do, would like 공부하다 would become 공부하는 것이다. That's the only way to tell the difference. So past tense and future tense are easy because it doesn't matter. Present tense, though, you have to know. Oh, you don't have, and by the way, in case you know, Buku, you don't have to pay me to ask questions, but I do look at the paid questions quickly because you've donated, but I don't require money for questions. You can just feel free to ask anything for free. But thank you, I appreciate it. Everyone's donations right now are helping for me to pay the grocery bills, to pay my electric bill, and to just, to be able to live. So I really appreciate it. And the podcast, which is great. Actually, there's a lock on your cheat sheets. Yeah, no, they're free. There's actually a collection. If you search for in the tab for my page, you'll see there's like shop, there's like collections, there's like posts, and one of them is collections. You can see there's one that has all the cheat sheets in there. You can just see, or just search the word cheat sheet in my page. You can find all of the posts for that. And the SD versions are free. The locked ones are only the HD versions. But again, you don't need the HD versions unless you want to print them out at poster size, or if you just want to support me, but it's the same thing. 예쁘다. Yes. Okay, so Sue Amazing is asking a good question. How about 예쁜 거예요? So when you're talking about descriptive verbs, anyway, this lesson, the purpose of this lesson today was not about conjugating verbs into adjectives. That is a whole separate lesson that actually took 2 lessons, one for action verbs, one for descriptive verbs. So that's why I didn't go into it. I was just assuming you already knew that. But if you're doing past tense adjectives with this form, you're going to be using, what would that be? You're going to have to know, you're going to have to know the 던 form. To make it, you conjugate a verb. This is only for descriptive verbs. You conjugate the verb, and then you get the normal ending. Let's just say like 예쁘다, which is like 예뻐, right? So normally you conjugate this, and you conjugate it to the past tense. 예뻤어요, right? 예뻤어요 is what you get. Sorry, that's messy. Hopefully you know what I'm writing. So as soon as you get to this part that ends in these 2 letters, double 시옷, 쌍시옷, you attach 던. And that's it. That's the form you get. I probably should have mentioned that clearly in the lesson, just to remind you. Since, adjectives have that different form. There's actually, the reason maybe I didn't go into it is because there are 2 forms for 던. And this is one of them. There's another one as well, but that's less common that you're probably not going to need. And then there's also another version for action verbs, which I didn't want to get into for this lesson because that's way beyond the scope of this lesson. But yeah, you just get to the past tense conjugation. You stop here and you attach 던. So it's 예뻤, and then instead of adding that, it's just 예뻤던, and then 것이다, just like normal. But good question, because I should have probably mentioned it briefly anyway, even if I wasn't going to go over it. Megan says, I've been a fan since 2023. Nice. Billy, have you seen Light and Magic on Disney Plus? History of special effects. George Lucas, one of the guys who worked there, started Kai's Adobe Photoshop with his brother. Kai's Adobe Photoshop, yes. That's what it's called when you open it. The splash screen, it's like Kai's Adobe Photoshop. But every year they keep making Kai's name smaller as they push her deeper and deeper into the dungeon. And now you can't even see it. It's like less than a pixel, but it was originally there. Adobe has wiped all references to it. No, I haven't seen it. George Lucas, I respect what he's done for special effects for the original Star Wars, but he's I don't know. I don't want to insult the guy. I just think he should not, I'll say what he should not have done instead of talking about his character. He should not have ruined the original movies by making the special edition, and then going further. And we're not gonna get in the Star Wars tangent today. I'm sorry, I'm not going off in Star Wars tangents. Any questions related to Korean? Keith says, like if you were asked, why do you have a tiara? Sure. Heavy, yeah. So Heavy, I was actually thinking of oh, Lynn, yeah. Lynn's watching it. I have actually been thinking of some guests that I can have on the podcast. I was actually thinking of getting my brother as a guest for one of the episodes. Most of the guests will be remote. So there'll be people in Korea, there'll be Koreans mostly. But I was also thinking about getting my brother as a guest for one or two of the episodes. So we'll see. I don't think that won't be the first few episodes though. I want to get the podcast established and kind of get a rhythm for filming it first before I start adding in live guests. But the set hopefully will be able to support live guests once it's finished. Since the fundraiser went well, I raised enough money to build the set, and I raised enough to build it out of actual material, actual wood, instead of what I was going to make it out of, which was originally going to be just foam and paper. So now I can actually make a real set. So it will be able to support someone actually sitting on top of the set, which will be good. Kai! Kai is strawberries or bananas? Translation, help me escape the basement. Well, I don't know what you mean by help me escape the basement, but let's talk about strawberries versus bananas. You gotta wash strawberries, and that alone disqualifies them. If I didn't have to wash them, I think that strawberries would be supreme. The other thing is strawberries, when you take a bite, it makes your mouth go for like a few seconds, and it kind of hurts because of it's how sour they are. And strawberries expire like immediately. They're like almost as bad as avocados. Avocados are like, I don't feel like tasting good. Avocados just immediately turn to mush. Like you get them like right, like the split second that they're ripe, and then they're just mush. Strawberries can kind of do that too sometimes. Like they look really nice. You're like, oh, I'll have them tomorrow. And the next day they're like moldy and smashed on one side, even though you didn't drop them. I think bananas are supreme. They are the supreme fruit. They are the victor over strawberries. You can let them rot. Bananas will turn completely black. And then you can be like, I'm not throwing you away. I'm making you into bread. Like, as long as the banana is not moldy, you can let it get like, it'll turn brown and then black, and then it'll shrivel up and get kind of dry. You're still good. You can still cook with it. Just don't eat it when it's moldy, but they're good for a long time. I think bananas win that. My money comment was about George Lucas. Hold on. Oh, the money is different and perhaps made his decisions differently, politely. I think it was his wife. My opinion, the reason why the original Star Wars movies were as good as they were was because no one was telling him no. And he has amazing ideas. And he's a really good director. But nobody's like a self-made person. Like everyone has people behind the scenes helping them out. Like in me, like in my case, I've got my wife who's like wonderful, helping me when I'm making decisions about things. I can like run ideas by her and stuff like that. It's kind of helped me, to stay kind of grounded. And he had that with the original Star Wars trilogy with his wife, who is the editor. And she would be like, oh, don't put that in. That's dumb. How about we need to do this? What if we spice it up by adding this? So she was like, helping with that. And then when they broke up and he's like, I'm going to make these Star Wars movies better. And no one had the guts to tell him, no, George, they're good. And he just got to do whatever he wanted, and then people didn't like him. And he's like, well, I guess people don't like my stuff anymore. I'm like, no. We love you. We love your stuff. But he needed to have someone to kind of temper him, kind of make sure stay within, like, do your best work, George, but like let's let someone else handle this, right? I think his best movie was The Empire Strikes Back, which most people think. He didn't even direct that one, which worked really good. So I mean, I could talk for days about that, but it's not related to my channel. Avocados soften much slower if kept in the fridge. Mike E. So if you wrap your avocado in aluminum foil when it turns ripe and put it in the fridge, it will last a really long time and stay ripe. I don't know why that is. This is something my wife taught me. She did it and I was like laughing at her. I'm like, what? What are you doing? It works. We had ripe avocados like 2 weeks after they had turned ripe, and she stuck them in the fridge wrapped in aluminum. Perfect when she finally unwrapped them. I was like, what is this magic? His best movie was THX 138. I'm so restraining. I'm sorry. If you are a fan of George Lucas, I am also myself a fan of George Lucas, but we criticize harshest the things that we care about the most. I just remember being really upset when I watched the special edition. I'm like, come on, you ruined so many good parts for me. And it was great. It was like so close to greatness. And it was like, yeah. Anyway, I don't have to complain though too much because I still always will have the original movies. Like the new ones don't take anything away from the originals. I can just go back and watch them whenever I want. I have 4K versions of the original ones from scanned film that people have done. Voodoo magic, yes. Oh, Ji-Hoon Lee also asked, Yeposser koyo. So yes, would have been. Past tense with future tense. So would be, literally, would have been. Light and Magic is a cool documentary. I might be interested in that. I haven't watched too many shows or movies though lately, just because of how busy I've been with the podcast. Every extra minute of free time I have has been like ordering things for the podcast or like building things. I built something. I was like sanding it and staining it and doing all of that. So that took up a lot of time. And then like planning for it and then editing videos. So hasn't been any extra time for me to go watch movies or TV shows yet. The best I can do is watch like maybe a 30-minute YouTube video after I finish everything before I go to bed. So I'd like to get some more time. Kai says, may I please have 2 super... Oh no, Lynn! May the force be with you. Just kidding. Take care. Yes, you can have your 2 super dabs. Okay. Kai, here we go. I'm so dumb. Thank you, Kai. Just put blended avocado and banana in my hair yesterday and egg, honey, olive oil and changed my life. That sounds delicious. It's like a smoothie. Okay, any questions about Korean? Brandy's asking, can you please analyze the rest of EXO in speaking Korean? So I'm going to be making another K-pop analysis series as soon as I finish editing the videos that I filmed in Korea. So maybe in October, I'll start doing a new K-pop series. And I might do that before I do the podcast just because the podcast set is going to take so much time to get ready. And I'm not going to be able to film with the podcast set until it's all done anyway. So in the meantime, might as well make another K-pop series in that extra time while I'm getting ready. The group that I pick though won't come from comments. It's going to come straight from my Patreon. So if you want to be one of the people to help pick the next group, you'll have to join my paid Patreon. That's something that the paid members get, is to help pick the group. So I'll make a post on Patreon. I'll say, what group do you want me to analyze? I think I have an idea of who people might pick right now, but we'll see. I'll take suggestions, and then top suggestions will be put into a vote. And then I'll make the vote public on my YouTube channel for people to choose among the winning votes from Patreon. So yeah, if you want to be one of the people to suggest someone, though, you'd have to join the Patreon. But that, I'm not exactly sure when I'll be filming that. So just keep an eye out. That'll be sometime, I think, in October, maybe early November. Will there be a live stream? Oh, Noah, no. There was a live stream last Sunday and then today. So next Sunday will not have a live stream. How hard is it to type in Korean on a computer? It shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't be too difficult because I have a video actually how to type. I think it's this. Type, is it type or typing? Hold on, I think it's typing. Maybe typing? We'll see. One of those should work. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I have a video about how to do it. It's not that difficult. You just type one letter after the next, and you don't need to put any spaces in. It'll automatically sort it out if you do it correctly. Really analyzing all S 24 members speaking Korean. Yeah, the thing is, if I upload one video per week, my entire channel will be S for 6 months if I do that. More than over 6 months if I do that. I got here 2 days late to see Super Junior. Oh no. Smelled good, says Heavy. Heavy. Okay, any Korean questions? Oh, I see Lynn had said, Lynn's gone, but I see Lynn had said, strawberries in Korea are the best, and once you've had those, you can't really enjoy them anywhere else. Strawberries in Korea depends. Some of them can be pretty good. The regular ones you'll get from the supermarket, I think, are not that great, or they're just okay, but there are some varieties that are really good. The best strawberries, though, I've ever had are definitely going to be like the ones that I get here in, well, if you drive up around Oxnard, not in Oxnard anymore, it's kind of, there's like a strawberry festival they'll do every year during, it's usually like June that they'll do it, where they'll have the giant strawberries. That's like when they're all in season and they're really cheap. And those ones like right in season are my favorites. They're like really big and really juicy and good, but it's only for like a short time when they're kind of like that. So if you get them in season, they can taste really good. I think Korea has really good ones when they're in season as well. When saying something like my friend Billy, would it be the same order in Korean? Yes. 제 친구 빌리는. Yeah. Becky says, I'm trying to print out cheat sheets, but they're in large print. How do I reduce the pages? So to print it, all you do is you right click and then select print. And then in the print options, you want to make sure that it's just stretched to fill the screen or shrunk, depending on the size of your printer. You just want it to be the regular, it'll fit on one page. If you just download it, and actually, sorry, you don't need to put it onto anything. You just right click and do print. Unless you're describing a different issue. All right, take care, Claire. Yeah, UK is going to be pretty late right now. Kat asks, how do you know when to get off a bus in Seoul? Okay, so when you're on the bus, if you're lucky, you're going to hear an announcement that says, you're probably going to hear something like that if you take the bus. And if you're not lucky, you're going to hear, and you're just going to hear the car sound. The bus's audio systems are like the most inconsistent. They're so inconsistent. Sometimes it'll be nice and clear, rarely, but usually it's like muted because the driver turned it down because he doesn't want to listen to it. And all you hear is like the driver's music and the sounds of the car, like the sounds of the bus going over the road. You can barely make it out. But you'll hear ding ding when you're again. Like you'll hear something like that. Pay attention to the first part. If you miss the first part, because that is the part that you're getting off. If you were to push the button right then, right when it says that, before a bus stops, if you push the button, it's going to be the first one that they say. So what they're saying is, you'll hear like Ibon something, Ibon blah 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 blah. You might only hear this part, so I'll keep it simple for you. You're gonna hear Ibon something, and then you're gonna hear Taum something. So Ibon means this. So when you hear the sound, ding dong, whatever, it'll be for this station. So if that's the station you're getting off at, you push the button. And then the Taum one is just to pay attention because that's the one that's after the bus stops. The way you know where to get off though is by you've found out which one to get off in advance by checking the app. Or if you really don't know, you can ask the bus driver and they'll know. They know their route really well. So you can tell them, if you know you're on the right bus, when you're on the bus, you can walk up to the bus driver carefully and ask the bus driver, say, hey, I'm getting off at this station. Where do I need to get off? 어디서 내려야 돼요? 어디서 내려요? You can ask them really simple, like, where do I get off? Or anything like that. Then the bus driver will just probably tell you, like, oh, no, you got to get off at this station, like that. But if not, pay attention to this. However, usually, most of the time, almost all the time, you can actually see this written on the screen. So there will be a monitor on the bus. And most of the time, but not always, it'll be like filled with advertisements. This is like advertisements. Ad here, separate ad here, ad here. But then here it'll be like, Ibon, what do you know, say this station is, and it'll say the next station that's coming up. This will be some giant ad or whatever, but it'll say it on the corner. And if you don't have that, there's one more option that you can look to see what the next stop is. The place where you scan your card, like scan here or whatever, it'll have a little screen. If it has a screen, that will say the bus stop that's coming up. So you have 3 places that you can hear it. One is the speaker system, if it's working. 9 out of 10, though, you won't be able to understand that speaker system. I don't know why the volume's always turned way down and you can't hear it. But if you're in like the busy areas of Seoul, we'll usually have clear audio, but everywhere else it'll be like, you can't hear it. So these are 3 places you can look to know where to get off. Kai says, my tutor hasn't had me practicing the markers. She says they're usually dropped when speaking. Yes and no. Yes, they are usually dropped when speaking. No, they don't have to be dropped when speaking. They can be. If you're speaking clearly, if the context is clear, you don't need to add them. But you definitely need to know them because they're still used all the time. And there are a lot of cases where you want to use them to add that emphasis. Like the topic marker has that emphasis of like for me, let's talk about the pizza. Well, you can eat the cheese, but don't touch my milk. Like that sort of emphasis only comes from the topic marker. And if you're not saying it, you don't get that emphasis. As well as the object marker can be used to add emphasis to what it is you're doing. Like it makes it clear that you're doing studying. Well, 공부를 했는데, like I studied. So you need to know how to use them. But for conversation practice, it doesn't matter. If you're doing tutoring for conversation practice, then it doesn't matter. If you're doing tutoring for actually teaching you the language, then your tutor probably just tells you that because they don't know how to teach them. That's my guess. Because most of the Koreans that I meet, not most teachers usually know, but like general Koreans that I meet don't know how to teach Korean. So it's probably, my guess is that they don't know how to explain it. So they're just telling you, don't worry about it. But if they're conversation tutor, like you're just practicing speaking, then it doesn't matter. Feel free just not using them with them. What about the subway? Subway is the exact same thing. There's going to be a screen that will show the next stop. You won't be able to see it on the scan since you don't scan your card when you get on and off the subway. That's at the station. And there is a voice that comes on the speaker, but sometimes the speaker voice is also really quiet and you can't hear it. For that, though, will be the app. Monitor where you're currently at and where you're going to, and then pay attention when you get to that station. And I have a separate video about how to ride the subway in Korean, as well as how to ride the bus, as well as how to ride the train. So check those out. He says, I like the topic markers that more closely mimic my intonation. I also like them too. I use them a lot. Even though you don't have to, I think I find myself using the topic marker a lot for that same reason, because that's what I'd want to emphasize in the sentence. Oh, let's see here. No wonder you see Kai from EXO on a bike to avoid the buses in Seoul. Yeah, and some people have preferences. I personally don't really like the bus unless it's like unless it's like a long bus, like going from one, like some buses routes I think are okay because they're fast. They're faster than the subway. Other times I prefer the subway just because it's harder to miss your stop on a subway than it is on a bus. The buses, like, they don't even stop. Sometimes the bus drivers are mean and they don't even bother stopping, or they'll stop for like half a second. Like if you're trying to wait for the bus, they won't stop for you even if you're like waving, because they're like, I don't care. They don't need this bus. Sometimes they're just mean. And then when you're trying to get off the bus, they're like really, really bumpy. Sometimes right when you get on the bus, they immediately slam on the gas, even though you haven't even grabbed anything yet. And sometimes they do it on purpose, I feel. Other times, I mean, I don't know. I just don't like the bus. I feel like you kind of get sick from riding the buses, but it depends. Some routes are okay. Some routes I prefer the bus. Other routes I just don't like it. My preferred method of transportation in Korea is driving for outside of Seoul, and then inside of Seoul is the subway. But yeah, I mean, some people will go to a lot of lengths just to not have to take the bus. For me, if the ride is less than like a 20-minute walk, I prefer walking. I'd rather just walk. Sometimes instead of you're waiting at the bus stop for 15 minutes and then the bus comes and skips you and then you have to walk anyway or take a taxi. So yeah. 내 친구 빌리. Yes. Or 제 친구 빌리. Kai, then the only thing I would say is, you're saying that they're a tutor for more than conversation. The only thing I would say then is, if they are affordable, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're not paying a lot of money for a tutor, then you can't expect them to know how to teach Korean. I would just suck it up and just be like, okay, well, I'm getting what I'm paying for in that case. But if you're spending like $30 an hour on a tutor and they don't know how to teach you the markers, you could get someone who knows how to teach the markers for less than that. So that's what I'll say. Like if I do tutoring, my tutoring prices are higher because I can teach anything. But if you're looking for a conversation partner, I always recommend just find someone inexpensive on italki or one of those tutoring websites. Because if you're just looking for a conversation partner, they don't need to know how to teach Korean. They just need to know how to speak it. Mike E says, do you think arriving... Oh, hey, Mikey. Thank you, Mikey. Not Mikey, but Mike E. Mike E asks, do you think arriving in Korea at 4 a.m. flight time is a bad idea? Yes. But I've done it before. I haven't done a 4 a.m. arrival, but I've done a 6 a.m. arrival. It's not great because you're going to have trouble adjusting your body to the time difference. Normally when you arrive in Korea, due to the time difference, especially if you're flying from the US, due to the time difference, you're going to be tired when you arrive, because your body is going to think that it is 4 a.m. Your body thinks, oh, it's like 4 or 6 a.m. right now. I'm so tired. And you arrive in Korea at like 6 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock at night, then all you have to do is just hold on until like 8 or 9 and then fall asleep and you're okay. The next day you'll have a headache, but that's it. You don't have any jet lag. However, when your body thinks it's 5 or 6 in the morning and it actually is 5 or 6 in the morning, then what happens when you take a nap at 6 in the morning in Korea after you get to your room, or 7 or 8, and you get to your room and you sleep 8 hours because your body thinks it's nighttime and you wake up at 4 p.m. Now your clock is all messed up. So it's okay in the sense that you can do it and you might save money on the flight. But if you think you're going to arrive and be able to do stuff, you're not going to be functioning very well. In order to avoid jet lag, you would have to sleep on the airplane as much as possible. And if you're going to take a nap when you get to Korea, do it on the bus getting back, like the bus from the airport back to your place. And then maybe set a timer, like a really loud timer on your phone that's like 10 feet away. You have to get up and turn off. That lets you take a nap for like 2 hours, maybe. I think that would be okay. And then you'll just have to stay up the whole day until night. So it's going to be really hard on your body to do it. And I wouldn't recommend it. I say regular flight times are better, but if that's the only way you can do it, then yeah, I would just say try to get as much sleep as you can before that. And then if you sleep at all, make sure it's really short. Otherwise, it's just going to mess you completely up for the rest of the trip. Judy says, I got work. Yeah, have workout with the buses. Yeah. Yeah, my arms, like, my arms always come back with like extra muscle. I know you can't really see anything, but you know, a little extra muscle from like holding on, like whenever I'm on the bus. As soon as I get on the bus, I'm good about doing it. I scan my card and immediately grab something because I don't know if that bus driver is having a bad day or not. Sometimes they're friendly and like you get on, they wait for you to kind of move into the bus and then they start moving slowly. Other drivers do it on purpose where they just slam on the gas, even though there's no reason. Like it's just a regular, like a residential street. They'll accelerate so fast up to, 25, 30 miles an hour just to see people like fall over on the bus. Like I've seen actually bus drivers that it seems they're doing it on purpose. So you have to be careful. And some routes are totally fine and most drivers are friendly, but yeah, I've had some drivers that are like not very friendly, not helpful. Are you doing anything for Labor Day tomorrow? I am cooking lunch. I had bought a pack of steak like last year and we'd vacuum sealed it and froze it and it's defrosted now. It was like, I bought it on sale like a year or two ago and it's still good because we vacuum seal it. So it's fine. I think I'm going to make that tomorrow for lunch and I bought some corn. So I'm going to make some corn, steak, mashed potatoes, salad. Yeah, something like that. I'll make like a little meal for lunch, but I don't have any other plans. Probably just editing videos. And spend extra time in a jjimjilbang if you cannot check in. If you can do that, yeah. If you're arriving too early to check in to your place, you have a few options. If you can go to a jjimjilbang, then that would be nice. You can put your bag there. You can take a shower. If you don't feel like that, the other option would be just go to a cafe, bring your suitcase into a cafe, order something, and like take a nap on the table. Like you could probably do that. If it's a big enough cafe, they're not really going to care. Currently celebrating with my family. We had hot dogs. Nice. I was thinking of having hot dogs too. Probably I'll do hot dogs on Tuesday because I also have some hot dogs. These are things in my freezer. We're trying to go through the garage freezer to get rid of stuff that's been there for like more than 2 years. And we had steak, we had hot dogs, and a couple other things. 2-year-old steak. Yeah. Noah, it sounds gross, right? But if you have a vacuum machine, and I got one from my mom as a Christmas gift like 3-4 years ago, it is fantastic. Like if you put steak in a Ziploc bag and throw it in the freezer, that's nasty. You're going to throw that away in a year because it's going to get freezer burn. But if it's vacuum sealed, 5 years, 6 years, no problem. It tastes like the day you put it in there, especially if you know how to cook it. I do know how to cook it. But yeah, I've compared. I actually did a comparison. I had a fresh steak I had bought. I did a comparison last year. A fresh steak that I had bought from the store compared with the same store steak that I had gotten years before and vacuum sealed, and did a comparison test because we made 2 steaks one day last year and they were exactly the same. You literally cannot tell which one was the fresh one and the frozen one. I mean, because the meat is, I think it's usually sent in frozen anyway for delivery. So, I mean, or it's frozen by the store anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, Heavy. Thank you, Heavy. Heavy. I should end the stream soon too. We're going on past my time. I'll just do it 5 more minutes and then we'll stop. Heavy asks, would you consider making a video more focused on differences between female and male speaking styles? Yes, I actually did. Heavy, check my channel for how males and females, or I think it's called men and women, how men and women speak Korean differently. In my Korean FAQ series, I talk exactly about that question. So that video is for you. Go check it out on my channel. I put it up, I think 2 years or 3 years ago. And there are surprisingly a lot of differences. Now, you can talk however you like, but there are certain forms that have, it's not like this form is a girl form, don't use that. This is a man's form. There isn't anything like that in Korean, but what there is certain forms have more of a soft feeling. This form sounds softer, and this form doesn't, or sounds harsher. So because of that, in Korean culture, men and women will pick more often to use these forms. Like the women will pick more often to use forms that have a soft feeling to it. It's not that it's a female form in Korean or there's, oh, this is only used by females. It's not that. But women will typically pick these softer forms and men will typically pick these harsher forms. So that's what I talk about in the video, and I give examples of several common forms that are used. But you can mix and match. And I use many of the forms that have softer feel and fewer of the forms that have a stronger feel. Every guy will be different. Oh, take care, Kai. See you in 2 more weeks. Got to go back outside. Nice, nice. Oh, and I never found out who was the 15-minute donation. I never figured that out. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I have any information here. Curriculum, live streaming. Trying to see if I can find information about that. Voting, checklist, I have it somewhere. The list. I'll never find out. But whoever donated $10 at 2:15 after I started the stream, thank you. Found out how to bother Bill. Yeah, it really bothers me. Who was it? I see their email, but like I said, I don't want to read their email because it has their name in it. I don't want to, DDoS anyone. Mystery dab. Yeah, okay. That's a good idea. Since we don't know who it is exactly, I'm going to do a mystery dab. That was one mystery dab to whoever that is. We'll never know. And it's going to eat me. It's going to eat me up, not knowing who it was. Okay, 2 more minutes and then I'm going to go. Any last questions before we finish the stream for today? You can ask about the podcast if you want. Now's your chance to ask about anything you're curious about, Korean or Korea related. Thanks for giving me an idea. I'm defrosting my 5-year-old steak for tomorrow. Nice. Although I don't know if you could do it. Okay. So I'll give you a tip for that. Defrost it, but it doesn't have to be 100% defrosted because if your steak is still cold on the inside, that's good if you are getting a sear. So you want a frying pan. I usually prefer cast iron because a regular frying pan is not really good at super, super high temperatures, but cast iron doesn't care how hot you make it. So I'll do cast iron with avocado oil because that's the highest, reliably the highest smoke point oil you can get. And get it as hot as it can be on an outdoor stove because it smokes a lot. Get the oil as hot as it can get right before it's smoking. And then you sear 1 minute per side for the steak. And by the time it's cooked in the center, by the time the outside is completely black and like crispy and seared, then the inside will start to get cooked nicely. So you can do it a minute and then flip it a minute. You can flip it again and do it another minute on each side. Take a meat thermometer, check to make sure it's at least, 125 for rare or 130 for medium. You check your temperatures how you want it. And keep doing that until you get it to the temperature you want. And then you'll have a really nice crispy crust, but the inside will not be overcooked because it was cold when you put it on. So that's like another trick you can use. Do you vacuum seal Korean food too? No, usually I'll just do food because like Korean food would be eaten. It doesn't usually survive very long. So no, we don't really get a chance to vacuum seal any of it. And then kimchi doesn't get vacuum sealed. You just leave that in the container in a refrigerator. And once it's refrigerated, it won't keep fermenting. Keith asks, any good hotels in Suwon? So depends on the part of Suwon. Suwon's actually really big. If you let me know what part of Suwon, I might be able to suggest an area, but not really. Suwon's kind of an older feel for the city. So if you're looking for affordable hotels, yeah, there are a lot. But it'll really depend on what part. Some parts of Suwon are like an hour-long bus ride. Like it's easier for me to get to Seoul. I'm not joking. It's easier for me to get to Seoul than it is to get to a lot of parts of Suwon, just because the bus ride can be about an hour sometimes, like 30 minutes to an hour, depending on where in Suwon you're trying to go, just because there are so many roads. But once you get out of Suwon and you're going on the freeway, it's really fast. Journeys with Joy asks, will the podcast be geared toward new beginners or those who know the basics? So you could watch it as a new beginner, but it's going to be geared toward people who know basics because there are going to be some sections in it that are all in Korean. And like there will be a guest segment. And anytime I get a Korean guest, we'll be speaking mostly in Korean. At least the guests will be speaking all in Korean. I'll be speaking mostly in Korean with maybe some English to kind of help guide people who are listening who don't have subtitles. And the topics we're going to be talking about aren't going to be like the most basic stuff. It's going to be something kind of, interesting facts about Korean or recent language changes, culture updates, stuff that you would need to know the basics to enjoy. So if you want to get a head start, you can do the beginner Korean course and start watching that. And then you'll be ready by the time the podcast comes out. But it's not only for people who are advanced level. It'll be for anyone who just knows the basics. Best sushi place in Seoul. If you're in Seoul, then the best sushi place is fly over to Japan. No, I'm joking, but I prefer Japanese style sushi more than Korean style sushi. I'm sorry. It's just better for my tastes. I just prefer it. Okay. Becky says, I'm learning Korean and Arabic from scratch. Wow. Noah Deep says, not kimbap. Well, kimbap was based on sushi originally, but obviously it's nothing like sushi. Yeah, kimbap, Korean style sushi is not seasoned. So Korean style sushi, like there are different ingredients that they use a lot more that you won't find in Japanese style sushi. Things like garlic, oil, chili oil, and jalapenos are really common to find on Korean style, as well as beef, like beef sushi. I've seen that a lot in Korean restaurants, not so much in Japanese restaurants. It's kind of like a unique item in the Japanese ones. In the Korean ones, it's more of a common thing you can get, is like cooked beef or like cooked pork or something like that. And there are a few dishes also that are more common in Korea. Like I know they really like taco wasabi, like the wasabi flavored octopus is like a really common one I've seen in Korea, but I didn't see it so much when I was in Japan. I would see different ones in Japan as well. It was a lot more simpler is what I noticed in Japan for most of the sushi places. So I don't know. I just prefer the that kind of sushi over the Korean style, but Korean style is good too. I just usually don't go out to eat sushi in Korea anyway, or anywhere in general, except if I was in Japan, because it's just so expensive. So I usually don't get to eat sushi. Okay, is kogi native Korean? Yes, it is native Korean. Okay, that is the lesson today. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will see you again next time, which will be 2 weeks from now. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. and join the Discord. There's a link in the chat.